we'd been a good tackling team on defense. We weren't yesterday, and that's one of the reasons why you lose that game. So it's just a good reminder of what losing feels like. It stinks. We don't want to be a part of it anymore. And I'm confident that our guys will put that one behind us and move forward to Cleveland.
Thank you.
Zach, after you watched the film, how much of the lack of your run game was what you didn't do up front, and how much of it was what the Jets did do up front and what they are up front?
Well, a couple of those were low red zone runs, for no yard runs. And so that's going to hurt your percentages, certainly. We had some good runs, and then there were maybe 2 or 3 on first, second down that didn't go our way. Didn't call a lot of them. It's that first quarter, really all we had were red zone plays with the exception of those first 2 plays of the game. So I think that was just a little bit of a strange rhythm for us. And that's just the way it played out.
Zach, you referenced coaching yesterday in the post-game presser, I think right off the jump. When you looking back later, I mean, what are some things you wish you would have done a little bit better in hindsight?
Well, one thing we really paid attention to over the course of the week were how our guys handled the week in anticipation of our third road game on a road and some of the things that presents. And I thought our guys practiced really well, and that's a credit to the leadership of the team and the professionalism of our guys. And overall, when you lose a game like that and just some of the details went by the wayside that maybe we'd been really good at the first couple of weeks and we weren't yesterday, then we got to look internally as a coaching staff and make sure that in the meetings we're addressing the things we need to address. And we will, there's nothing that stands out that's of major concern. It's just, we didn't do the things we need to do yesterday, and we'll address it and move on to Cleveland.
Zach, the interception. The interception that Burrow throws in the fourth quarter, going into that drive, what's your mentality, what you're trying to do there? I assume it's 4 minute, you're thinking get a couple of first downs and end this. So, and are there risks in throwing that type of a play in that spot that you're just kind of willing to take?
Yeah, to answer your question, not really 4 minute mode yet. 4 minute mode would entail, handing the ball 3 times and then potentially punting it back to them. So we still wanted to be relatively aggressive with our approach. We felt like we'd moved the ball well, particularly in the second, third, and fourth quarter. And we were going to try to continue to do that and ideally end either with a touchdown there and really put it away, or in the ball with our possession. Once we crossed the 50, start bleeding the clock more. It was a screen to Jamar. And quite honestly, if he doesn't make a great play, the defensive end, I'd be really interested to see how that played out. He's probably going to be one-on-one with the half field safety for big play. So credit to the defensive end. He made a great play. He batted the ball, then he went and got it. There's not a whole lot Joe could have done differently there. It's a little bit of a blind faith throw. He's faking the toss action one way and snapping back and just trusting that the end bit on it. And there's not a great throwing lane in there if he doesn't. And so they just made the play and credit to them.
Is that kind of the one risk with that play that you just kind of have, that's just part of it, that's a thing that can happen on a play like that?
It kind of happens 1 out of every maybe 150 throws like that they're going to tip it up and intercept it. If that's what happens, that's what happens, but the process for us was we're going to throw a completion play to Jamar on a screen that is a high percentage play for us. We expect to really jumpstart the drive there on a first play. It's a play I tried to call really the whole second half, just the situation hadn't always called for it. So again, they made the play. We're not going to sit here and overcoach something that we're just overcoaching because the results were negative. That's not our approach to things. And we just got to put it behind us. And we need our defense to make a stop right there to bail us out. And offensively, when we get the ball back, we need to go score and win the game. And we didn't do any of that.
How's Jackson Carman doing?
He's doing better. He'll be day to day, but it's not a severe injury.
Zach, how many missed tackles did you guys count yesterday? And of the 511 yards, you said that you wanted to see how many were after contact. How much of that was after contact?
That's a good question. I don't have that exact number. I know the backs had a ton of yards in the screens and some of the check downs. We had around 15 missed tackles, depending on how you want to tally it. We have to be better in that area. That's an area really we've taken a lot of pride in the first however many weeks of the season. I thought our defense has been top notch at when a ball is completed underneath, vice tackling those guys and trying to punch and rake that ball out. And our guys have been outstanding in that area. And yesterday it just wasn't up to our standard. And so sometimes you need kind of this wake up call. I don't know that our team is one that really needed one. I think we've handled things really well up to this point. But it's a reminder of just how much it sucks to lose, and the feeling that we had last night. and this morning, and it, we haven't experienced that the last couple of weeks, and so we'll just take the things that we can learn from it, because we got to, and move on and get ready for Cleveland.
Zac, one thing that obviously a coaching staff tries to do is when you got a guy like Mike White, who doesn't have a lot of snaps on film that you can study him, get him off rhythm. And it seemed like you guys had trouble all day getting him out of his comfort zone. What do you learn from that experience?
Yeah, he was very efficient. They had a good plan. Sometimes you're going to be okay with making them go the length of the field if we can get them on the ground faster, and so it's sometimes the mindset going into a new quarterback like that is make them drive 75 yards, 80 yards. And they did that, and they made people miss in space, and they didn't have the big explosives on the field. They kind of did it inch by inch, and that's what was tough. And then that falls back to, some of the carries, and they had some long drives. They ate up a bunch of clock, and so it's just tough for our whole team to get into a rhythm, and it wasn't our best performance yesterday.
Zac, after looking at tape of the game, what could Mike Hilton have done differently to avoid a penalty?
It's tough. It's tough. Those are sometimes things that aren't going to go your way, and just got to move on.
Independent to the interception you mentioned in the fourth quarter, was there anything in particular you noticed with a lot of free rushers, some deflected passes? What was the reason for some of those?
The free rush, there was an empty where they brought one guy off the right side. He deflected the ball. And then there was the screen, so overall, I thought there were some good clips of our guys in protection. Joe had a really nice pocket for a good portion of the days. Obviously, the 3 sacks that we had, one of them was on the goal line on 4th down, which was a tough one. The other one was the last play of the game, which was tough. They had a 3-man twist going on there, and we didn't pass it off as well as we could have. They did a nice job in coverage. And then the other one was really a 2nd and 5 call, if I'm not mistaken, where it was good protection initially. We had to hang on the ball a little bit longer to let some of the things develop, and it didn't play out the way we did, so we took a hit there. So those were really the 3 sacks. But I thought that our linemen had a lot of good clips on tape.
When you found out that Jesse, Joe, and Tyler all wanted to go take the podium together to show that they were together and they wanted to take ownership of the loss, how did you feel about it?
I don't have any question about the leadership in this team and how guys will handle things and how they'll be accountable. That's fortunately not a concern that I have, and so, again, it's a long season. There's going to be more ups and there's going to be more downs, and we have to be consistent with our approach. We understand that. Just because it's generally you're going to be praised or you're going to be told you're not good enough. There's really no in between. And so our guys have to understand that and be consistent with their approach each week and not ride the wave of the season of all these highs and lows. We just have to be consistent and take what we can learn from each win and each loss and be able to move toward being a better football team for the next week.
Is being able to handle that something that only comes with experience, Zac, of I guess when you have a good amount of highs to know how to handle them and balance them as opposed to just having a lot of lows?
It's just about being because we ask our players and our coaches to be the same guy every single day, and if we can get that from each guy in terms of their preparation each Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, pregame warm-up on Sunday, that we feel good that we have the right talent, the right mental makeup on this team to be a consistent football team, which is required if you're going to compete for your division title and go to the playoffs. That's what's required over 17 weeks. And so, again, this is just a good learning lesson for us to store away and learn from and continue to be a consistent team, which I've seen from our group, even in the losses. I've seen that from our group with how we responded.
Coach, you had a 3-week grind on the road. You got to be at least somewhat excited to come back home and play in front of your fans and be in familiar surroundings on Saturday night. Absolutely.
Our guys really have enjoyed our home environments, our home crowd. We've been able to feed off that energy. They've done a great job, getting in their seats and cheering hard and making it hard for the opposing team's quarterbacks. This is a big one for us. It's a chance to be 6-3. It's a chance to, more importantly, be 3-0 in our division with a win against each divisional opponent. We talk about being a great 2-minute team at the end of the half. Over the course of the season, we've been really good on both sides of the ball. And this is our 2-minute drive right now going into the halftime of the season, and so we need to finish this this first half of the season with some momentum. What better way to do it than to play well against Cleveland at home in front of our fans and be 3-0 in the division going into the bye week. So our players understand the importance of this and what it'll do for the momentum for the rest of our season, and our guys are focused on that.
Yeah, Coach, when you look at the bye week, a lot of people would prefer to have it almost smack dab in the middle, but with 17 games, obviously. Do you like where the bye is for you, where you'll have 9 games under your belt and then come back with the last 8?
I do. It comes at a good time for us. Our guys have done a really good job taking care of their bodies. They've played physical like we've asked them to do, and they're going to give it to us one more time this weekend. So we're going to be demanding of them in practice. And they're going to do their job to get their bodies right on Friday and Saturday, and be able to play this is going to be a physical game. This is AFC North football. This is a really good offense, defense, and special teams unit in Cleveland that's coming to town. And so we're going to need our guys' best. And then once the bye week comes, it comes. But right now we're just focused on getting this one against Cleveland.
Thank you.
Zac, just a simple procedural question, game planning. You guys, they had just taken the lead and you had 3rd down. I think it was in 10 and Joe takes a sack. I think it was 4th and 19. If he doesn't take a sack there, do you go for it on 4th down?
We'd consider seeing how that played out. Now part of it was there was still, a good amount over 2 minutes, and we had 3 timeouts. And so to punt him down there and get a stop like
you thought you had,
we almost did, is the smarter decision there. Had he completed that ball for a couple yards and it was a 4th and manageable, then that conversation would have occurred to whether or not we go for it. But felt good about punting them, felt good about getting a stop if we needed to, and having 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning there to go.
Zac, given that the trade,
it's not as though T. Higgins has struggled, but did you see yesterday as a kind of a significant step in him getting back to where he was last year?
That's the expectation we've had for T. It was good to see him make some plays down the field. That's really how he finished strong the last 8 games last season. Every 50-50 ball that went up down the field, he caught, whether it was inbounds or out of bounds last year. And so that's what we see from T in practice. He's had a couple opportunities early in the season that haven't completely gone his way. One thing that happens is T's so big and physical is guys are going to kind of have to be physical back with you. They're going to have to grab you and pull your arms down, and you're not always going to get that call as a big receiver as much as we're going to fight for it. He understands he's got to be strong at that point of attack, and he did that yesterday. He went up and got that ball and that critical 3rd down that got us down to the 3-yard line. He is fast and strong and fast on that ball he caught, 41 yards down the field on the numbers on the field post. He did a great job just running to the space and letting Joe go get him. So his strengths are really starting to show up, and we're always counting on T, and we know that he can step up in those big moments for us.
I'm curious too on the long pass or the pass that Tyler Boyd threw. Is there any hesitancy to call that play when the Jets have already run 2 of their own in the same game?
No, I don't. No, I don't think their D coordinators watching much of what's going on with their offense and determining what plays. I saw Oklahoma in 2001 run a trick play and they fell down and didn't complete it. And a couple plays later, Eric Crouch caught the same play for a game-winning touchdown to send them to the national championship. So I've seen that work both ways before. So you typically aren't watching so much the other side of the ball. I do because I'm the head coach, but the coordinators typically are just getting ready for the next drive. So I don't think that played into it.
Zac, given that the trade deadline is a little more than 24 hours away, how different is the next 24 hours and 47 minutes for you and for the organization?
Yeah, I know the trade deadline is always a big talk when it comes up, but our scouting department does a great job of putting us in position. And if they've got things to throw away, we work hand in hand with them. But I let them concern themselves with it.
2 minutes.
Zac, are there certain things that you're looking? Zac, are there certain things that you're looking for between now and maybe Wednesday to show that you guys are responding the way that you guys want them to after a loss like that on Sunday?
We met with the guys today, and I felt really good about the response and just the demeanor of the players and the accountability. We're not going to run from making the corrections and being critical where we need to be. And our guys handled it really well, as we would expect. And so they get tomorrow to get their bodies back and have the player day off. Some guys get in here and watch some tape, and then Wednesday we'll get back to it and get at it. So I haven't seen anything today that's alarming to me. The guys have responded how I expect them to.
A lot of targets for Jamar.
Charlie, and then I'll get you, Jeff.
Okay. A lot of targets for Jamar. Is there a reason though one of those didn't turn into the kind of explosive play that's kind of been common so far this season?
They're pretty hell-bent on not allowing that to happen, so I think it was smart by Joe to not force some balls oftentimes into cloud coverage or double coverage or, you could see kind of what their mentality was going into that game. And, there's still going to be some times we're going to try to find that one-on-one and take our opportunities. The opportunity kind of came up for T on that shot over the top that he caught. We had another one to TB going the other way that we didn't quite connect on. But there were still some shots that we took there. Again, we feel like we've got plenty of weapons to go down the field, and so it doesn't always have to be Jamar. So we'll be able to react accordingly if people are going to try to take that away. But that's why you saw us throw some underneath stuff where he was pretty wide open and he caught it and had a couple nice catch and runs as well. Go ahead, Javi.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. I just wanted to ask you about the, Tyler's, if you could treat Boyd's throwing motion, and how many times do you rep a play like that? I mean, and when do you decide to pull it out of the bag and, maybe kind of walk us through it a little bit if you could, please. Yeah. Thank you.
He threw it to Gio last year against Cleveland at home, for a big play. Clowney ran him down. And we've repped that play probably since OTAs, about once a week, training camp once a week, season once a week. You got to be ready for the right defense, the right front to be able to call it. Tyler has executed it brilliantly every single time we've ever repped it. He has been as consistent as any quarterback I've ever seen with his location on that throw to we've repped a couple different backs on that play. So he did a really nice job. So our guys all handled it well. The linemen can't go down the field. They got to wait for the go call from the back. They did a great job handling that. The throw was precise. Joe Mixon did a great job just putting his head down and running and getting probably wasn't any more yards to get there. They had pretty good angles on him. And so he just ran physically and got us down the 7-yard line. And so I thought it was really well executed by all of our guys.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Zach, I thought Joe Burrow had several plays yesterday under duress where his accuracy was pretty exceptional. Did you, especially on the touchdown to Jamar in the, whenever it was in the first half, can you just go over what you saw on film from Joe yesterday, if it was anything above the extraordinary that you have kind of come to expect?
Well, not extraordinary for him, but necessary for us to be successful in the red zone. When you really look at low red zone plays, about 50% of them are scheme and 50% of them are just dudes making plays on extended plays. And Joe did that for us a couple times. And it's not just Joe. The protection held up to allow him to do that. The receivers were in sync with him. There was two that stood out. There was the one to Jamar, where Joe really got the ball out of his hands pretty quick once he got on the move and saw that Jamar was breaking the pylon and made a great strong throw. There was another one to TB. TB was on fly motion and going to run a race route on the back of the end zone and broke it off and scored. Again, tremendous protection and good job for Joe extending the play and finding TB. The two other plays that really stood out to me were on the last drive when he connected with TB again. When he rolled out to his left, that's a tough throw. Joe Mixon did a nice job in protection, giving him that extra second. And probably the most impressive throw to me was the naked he threw to TB. I believe it was in the second quarter. They were in a jam front on 2nd and 1, and he did a great job at the end coming up the field and snapping his head around and making a strong throw out in front for TB to be able to catch and run. So that's just kind of what you come to expect from him. He makes those plays, and it's just part of his rhythm. They're not a big deal because we see him so much, but they really are. If people are from the outside are looking in, those are really difficult plays for the quarterback to make. But I think the receivers are really feeding off of that they expect that play to be extended at any point, and they got to be able to react because there's going to be some explosives to be had and some touchdowns to be had. And our linemen understand that, hey, you got to block a little bit longer because if we can do that, again, our quarterback's going to find the guys open down the field and we're going to score points off of it. So those are great weapons for us to have, and we're starting to get better and better at our scramble drills and our extended plays. And we weren't as good at that early in the season. And that is an area where I know as a coaching staff, we've been really proud of our guys, all 11 of them, how they've handled that.
One last question.
Coach, it doesn't seem like from the 1-yard line or inside the 1-yard line that running backs go up and over anymore. Is that because of player safety? Is that because of potential injury? Why do guys not just take a ball and go up and over anymore?
It's hit or miss. We showed our guys a ton of reps of guys going up and over, and defense is punching the ball out as they try to reach to extend. And we just showed that on Friday. Brad Kirkthorpe showed probably 8 clips of running backs doing that, and the defense's opportunity to knock those balls out. So there's a fine line there of doing it. Again, we really stress our guys not reaching the ball across the goal line unless it's 4th and goal, because if that ball gets knocked out, it's a touchback. and you should be able to physically run through that. And again, we didn't do a good enough job, particularly on those first 2 goal line plays of moving the front, of getting the inch that we needed to get. And that unfortunately set the tone for the day when we had back-to-back runs that got stuffed. We had a drop on 3rd down. We had a sack on 4th down, all on go to goal. That's disappointing because we left 7 points on the board there.
A lot of times, though, guys, when they used to go up and over, they didn't extend it. They just went up and over with the football and, scored. They didn't have to extend it, I mean, it just seems like it's not done anymore. It's kind of different.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, we'll let you go. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Zach.